Welcome to MoDOT's Threatened and Endangered Species online training for local public agency projects. To receive funding from the Federal Highway Administration, local public agency sponsors are required to address impacts to federally and state-listed species and their associated habitats that may occur as a result of their project. Only MoDOT is authorized to consult with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service under the Endangered Species Act. However, it is the responsibility of the local public agency sponsor to provide MoDOT with all necessary project information to complete the consultation process and provide threatened and endangered species clearance for your project. The purpose of this presentation is to guide you through the necessary steps to obtain threatened and endangered species clearance for your local public agency projects. Additional information related to the requirements discussed in this presentation can be found in Section 136.6.4.5 of MoDOT's Engineering Policy Guide using the link on the screen. Federally listed species are threatened and endangered species that are protected under Section 7 of the Endangered Species Act of 1973, while state-listed species are protected under the Wildlife Code of Missouri. Additionally, the Missouri Species and Communities of Conservation Concern checklist provides a list of plants, animals, and natural communities that the Missouri Department of Conservation is particularly concerned about due to population declines or apparent vulnerability. Species and communities listed in the Missouri Species and Communities of Conservation Concern checklist are referred to as Species of Conservation Concern. To determine which federally and state-listed or protected species you need to consider for your project, you will need to obtain a list of federally listed species and a list of state species for your project area. To obtain a list of federal species, use the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Information for Planning and Consultation, or IPAC, website. For state-listed species, use the Missouri Department of Conservation Missouri Natural Heritage Database. We will discuss how to use each of these websites shortly. Before MoDOT can complete a threatened and endangered species review, local public agency sponsors or their consultants must provide the 7 pieces of required documentation listed here. Required documentation includes official species list, tree clearing information, tree and structure photos, written determinations of effect, and project-specific information on construction timing and ground disturbance. Additional instructions related to each of the 7 documentation pieces is provided in MoDOT's Threatened and Endangered Species Submittal Checklist, which is available at the link on the screen. We will now talk through each of these 7 requirements in more detail. The first step listed in MoDOT's Threatened and Endangered Species Submittal Checklist is to obtain a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service IPAC official species list for your project area. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's IPAC is a digital planning tool that can be used to generate a list of federally listed, proposed species for listing, federal candidate species, and federally designated critical habitat that have potential to occur in or near a specified project area. An official species list will contain a unique project code and the date that the list was generated, similar to the image on the screen. Before generating an IPAC official species list, you will need to make sure you know the project location, limits, and description of the proposed project work. The following slides describe the step-by-step process to generate an IPAC official species list. To obtain your IPAC official species list, you will first need to navigate to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service IPAC webpage using the web address on the screen. Once you arrive at the IPAC landing page, click Login to get started. After clicking Login, the image to the right will appear. If you have an existing account, select Sign In. If you do not have an existing account, click Create an Account and follow the prompts. Once successfully logged in, you will return to the landing page shown on the left side of the screen. From here, click Get Started. After clicking Get Started, you are ready for Step 2 and the image on the left side of the screen will appear. From this screen, you will be able to navigate to your project location. You can navigate to your project location by using the search box, the zoom in and zoom out arrows, or upload a geometry. If uploading a geometry, you will need to upload a zipped shapefile, a Google Earth file, or other approved geospatial data feature. Once you have found your general project location, you can proceed to Step 3 to define your project area. To define your project area, use the sketch, polygon, or line tools shown in the image on the right. You will want to make sure to include the full limits of disturbance for your project in the area that you draw. If you are not sure of the exact limits of disturbance for your project yet, it is advisable to draw a slightly larger project area to accommodate for any potential changes to the project as your design progresses. If you upload a geometry as part of Step 2, you will skip this step. Once you have drawn your project area, verify that the area is correct or modify the area as needed. You can modify the shape by clicking and dragging the vertices or by clicking on a solid vertex to remove it. When your project area is correct, click Continue. The IPAC official species list is based on the project area you define in this step. Next, you will generate an official species list for your project area. IPAC will generate this list based on the expected range of federally listed, proposed, and candidate species with potential to occur within your project area. The official species list generated through IPAC is the document MoDOT staff need to complete a threatened and endangered species review for your project. Note that an unofficial species list, which you can generate by clicking Print Resource List on this screen, is not the correct document. To generate the official species list, click Define Project. Next, fill in the project name and a brief project description detailing the location, size, scope, and timing of the project. The project description should include construction activities such as placing riprap in streams or wetlands, guardrail and embankment repair, channel diversion, channelization of a stream, and tree trimming and clearing activities. Your project description should be consistent with the description in the Request for Environmental Review system. Once you have entered your project name and project description, click Save. After clicking Save on the previous screen, the screen above will appear. This is your project-specific page. Select Start Review at the right of the screen to begin the process of requesting an official species list. Next, review the step-by-step consultation process, then click Continue. Next, select Yes, request a species list, then answer the questions regarding the project that follow. The first question shown on the right of the screen should always be checked Yes. Because MoDOT projects are conducted, permitted, funded, or licensed by a federal agency, you will answer Yes. If you know if your project receives funding through any of the listed project authorities, select as appropriate or select None. You will have an opportunity here to update the project name, description, and select a project type. After answering all the questions, the Submit Official Species List Request box at the bottom of your screen will turn from gray to blue, indicating that you can now click this box. Click Submit Official Species List Request to generate your list. The IPAC system will redirect you to a new page after it has processed this request. It may take several minutes for IPAC to generate an official species list. Once finished, a link will appear which will provide access to the official species list. Click Species List, Missouri Ecological Services Field Office to open the official species list. The official species list will be on the USFWS letterhead and will include a project code and the date the list was generated on the first page. The project code and date are highlighted in the image to the right. The project code is unique to each official species list and is needed for MoDOT to complete the required consultation activities with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. An official species list is valid for 90 days, after which you will need to request an updated species list on the IPAC. This completes the first step of MoDOT's Threatened and Endangered Species Submittal Checklist. Upload a copy of your official species list to the Request for Environmental Review system. Next, you will need to obtain a Missouri Department of Conservation Natural (MDC) Heritage Review report for your project. This report will identify state-listed species and species or communities of conservation concern in or near your project area. When you submit a project for review on the Missouri Natural Heritage Review website, you will receive a Natural Heritage Review report similar to the image on the right of the screen. This report is what you will upload to the Request for Environmental Review site. You will also need to consider potential impacts to all species identified in this report, in addition to the federally listed species contained in your IPAC species list. The next slides describe the step-by-step process to generate a Natural Heritage Review report. First, navigate to the Missouri Department of Conservation Natural Heritage Review website using the link on the screen. Next, using the box on the right of the screen, log into the system or create a new account. Once logged in, click the Map tab at the top of the page to create your project area and request a Natural Heritage Review report. Next, zoom to your project area. Then, using the drop-down menu on the left of the screen, create your project area by clicking on the Define Area of Interest drop-down menu. Similar to the IPAC tool, you may draw your project area or upload a zipped file of your project area using a compatible geospatial data feature. Make sure to use the same project area as you used to generate your IPAC official species list. Once you have created your project area, click Create Project. By clicking Create Project on the previous slide, a new screen will appear. Here you will enter information about your project, including your project title, project number, and project type. Required fields are indicated by a red asterisk and include the project title, project type, project description, your contact information, and project edit status. Make sure the information you provide here is consistent with the information used to create your IPAC official species list. The following slides discuss the project description and project edit status in more detail. In the project description portion of the Create Project dialog box, enter a brief description of the project including the location, the name of any water bodies if present. Also add any other pertinent information regarding project activities such as tree clearing or stream channelization. Enter or update your contact information as necessary. These fields will auto-populate based on your login information. Next, scroll down toward the bottom of the form. Scroll down to select your project edit status, either draft or final. If you select draft, you can come back to review the project and make changes. If you select final, it will submit your project to MDC for final review. Select final if you are ready to generate a report that will be provided to MoDOT. If you have additional information to upload for the review process, such as project plans, photographs, maps, etc., you can select those files under Choose File and upload them. However, these are not required. Next, click Submit. This will save your project and the Create Project box will disappear and you will be returned to the map. A notification email will be sent once the automated review is complete, which may take up to 5 minutes. This email will contain instructions on how to access your report. You may also check the review status by clicking on the My Projects tab as shown in the bottom image on the screen. It may take up to 5 minutes to generate the Natural Heritage Review report. Once the processing is finished, a link will appear which will provide access to the Natural Heritage Review report or project report. The Natural Heritage Review Report will be on MDC letterhead, shown on the right of the screen, and will include a report level summary, foreword, and project information on the first page. Your report will indicate a Level 1, Level 2, or Level 3 report, which is highlighted in the image on the right of the screen. We will discuss these levels next. The project level summary is highlighted in the screen capture shown on this slide. If you receive a Level 1 report, no further coordination with MDC is required. Your report should be uploaded to the Request for Environmental Review site. If you receive a Level 2 or 3 report, you will need to contact MDC Natural Heritage Review staff via email to request a detailed follow-up report. The email address for MDC staff is shown on the screen. The detailed follow-up report will include a list of species occurrences within a radius around your project. This report will be provided to you via email, and it may take up to 30 days to receive the follow-up MDC report. Upload your initial Level 2 or Level 3 MDC Natural Heritage Review Report and the follow-up report to the Request for Environmental Review site. This completes this item of MoDOT's Threatened and Endangered Species Submittal Checklist. Now that you've generated the IPAC Official Species List and MDC Natural Heritage Review Report, let's talk about the next steps on MoDOT's Threatened and Endangered Species Submittal Checklist. The next items you will need to provide include information on tree clearing and photo documentation. The most common issue you will evaluate is the clearing of trees and any impact that may have on protected bat species. If your project involves tree removal, you will need to indicate the amount of tree clearing in acres, the location of all proposed tree clearing, including the maximum distance that clearing will occur from the existing roadway, and the proposed timing of tree clearing activities. If your project does not involve tree clearing, indicate this in the Request for Environmental Review and your Threatened and Endangered Species submittal materials. If your project does involve tree clearing, you will need to complete a site visit to document the trees within the project area and determine if they may be suitable roosting habitat for federally protected bat species. Indiana bats and northern long-eared bats use standing dead trees, also known as snags, or living trees with damage, peeling or exfoliating bark, cracks, and crevices. Examples of Indiana bat and northern long-eared bat summer roost habitat is shown in the image on the right of the screen. The federally proposed tricolored bat is a habitat generalist and may use live or dead trees with diameters over 3 inches, as well as leaf clusters in live or dead trees. Photographs of tree removal areas should clearly show the tree bark, damaged areas, or other suitable characteristics. Upload your tree photos to the Request for Environmental Review site and indicate whether trees in the project area could be used by protected bats as summer roost habitat. Migratory birds and bats can use bridges, culverts, or other structures to roost and build nests. Therefore, if your project contains a bridge or culvert, please provide a complete set of photos showing the bridge or structure as part of your Threatened and Endangered Species submittal. If your project does not involve bridge or structure work, indicate this in the Request for Environmental Review and submittal materials. If your project involves bridge or structure work, you will need to complete a field visit to inspect the structures. Check areas of bridges where birds could be nesting, such as pier caps and tops of piers, overhanging edges, between girders, and the trusses and substructure of the bridge. Bird species that commonly nest on bridges include cliff swallows, barn swallows, American robins, and eastern phoebes. Take photos of any nests observed and note where the nests occur on the bridge, and whether the project will impact the nests. The Migratory Bird Treaty Act prevents the removal of active nests with eggs or young in them. If you know the bridge has nests, you can schedule work outside of the breeding season or initiate an aggressive removal program prior to the nesting season. Bridges can also serve as roosts for bat species. Look in cracks and crevices under the bridge, including expansion joints and abutments, for signs of roosting bats. These signs can include oily stains on the bottom of the bridge or bat droppings below the bridge. Examples of bat use on bridges are provided in the photos on the right of the screen. Culverts with an inside diameter of 3 feet or more and a length of 23 feet or greater are considered suitable habitat for roosting bats. If areas of a bridge or culvert cannot be seen in the photos, or if the photos are low quality and features cannot be clearly identified, you may be required to retake the photos. The next piece of information required for threatened and endangered species is the local public agency sponsors written determination of anticipated impacts to each species listed in the IPAC official species list and MDC Natural Heritage Review report. Start by reviewing descriptions of preferred habitat for all IPAC and MDC species applicable to your project using MoDOT's Habitat Description document. It's available at the link on the screen and in section 136.6.6 of the EPG. Next, if you completed a site visit for tree removal or bridge and structure work, review those photos to determine if they represent suitable habitat for any species listed in your IPAC or MDC report. For federally listed species, or those species listed in your IPAC official species list, make an effects determination. Possible determinations include no effect, may affect not likely to adversely affect, or may affect likely to adversely affect. When making effects determinations, refer to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Consultation Handbook for additional guidance. In most cases, a no effect determination can be made when the species and/or its habitat is either not present in your project area or will not be affected by your project. An example of a no effect determination would be when a threatened and endangered freshwater mussel species is listed on the IPAC, but the project limits do not contain rivers, streams, or other suitable aquatic habitat features for the listed mussel. A may affect not likely to adversely affect determination can be made when the species and/or its habitat is present within your project area and may be affected by the project. Indirect effects both on-site and off-site should be considered. An example of a may affect not likely to adversely affect determination is when a threatened or endangered mussel is present directly downstream of a bridge replacement. Because the bridge replacement may impact water quality downstream of the project site, and the water quality impact may affect the mussel species but is not anticipated to adversely affect the mussel species, it would receive a may affect not likely to adversely affect determination. A may affect not likely to adversely affect determination will require informal U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service consultation. A may affect likely to adversely affect determination should be made when the species is likely to be adversely impacted. Indirect effects both on-site and off-site should be considered. Formal U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service consultation is required when this determination is made, and mitigation may also be required. An example of a may affect likely to adversely affect determination would be a situation in which the same mussel would have its mussel bed destroyed during construction, or the downstream contaminants from the bridge replacement would alter the mussel bed, kill the mussels, or reduce the mussel population. Following formal consultation, mitigation could include restoration of a degraded stretch of stream that can support the threatened or endangered mussel. For state-listed species, or those species listed in your MDC Natural Heritage Review report, make an impact determination. Though the species effects determinations, as described in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Consultation Handbook, do not apply to state-listed species, the LPA should describe whether the species or their habitat will be impacted by the project. A clear statement is required concerning whether the project will impact the state-listed species. Written determinations for federally and state-listed species should then be uploaded to the Request for Environmental Review system or included in your threatened and endangered species submittal and uploaded to the system. Lastly, you will need to provide supplemental project information to MoDOT. Supplemental information will assist MoDOT biologists in understanding the scope of your project and will facilitate a timely review. Supplemental information may include an exhibit or Google Earth file showing the full project limits, ground disturbance areas, and areas of proposed right-of-way or easements as applicable. If available, you should also provide conceptual or preliminary plan sheets as well as the anticipated date of project construction and the estimated duration of construction activities. All documentation from each checklist item we have discussed should be uploaded to the Request for Environmental Review system by uploading the materials as attachments, as shown in the image on the screen. Once all documentation has been uploaded by the sponsor or consultant, MoDOT Threatened and Endangered Species staff will review the documentation within 30 days and advise if any additional information is required. When considering your project schedule, be sure to consider any fieldwork, including site visits, to obtain tree photos or bridge and structure photos, or necessary approvals by environmental agencies, including U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service consultation, that could be required. Now you have completed the necessary steps to obtain threatened and endangered species clearance for your project. This concludes our Threatened and Endangered Species training for LPA applicants and consultants. You have learned how to generate an IPAC official species list and MDC Natural Heritage Review Report, evaluate your project for tree removal and bridge or structure work, take high-quality photos of suitable habitat, provide written determinations of effects, and provide supplemental information pertaining to your project. The information provided in this presentation will help you prepare your summary of documents to submit to MoDOT, ensuring a timely and thorough review of your project.